All right, everyone, we should be live. We'll make sure that's actually the case cross-platform, of course. I see that people are over on Rumble Rants. Merriam-Webster has shown they have no spine, says Cam2425IA. Yeah, many such cases. We'll make sure we're actually live on Rumble. We've got 9 news stories to cover today, so it'll be a doozy. There's some good shit in here. Myra Flores case, of course, the Miss Frijoles dust up, AOC pretending to be arrested, and much, much more. Soul Native, take that article of clothing off your chest. We demand to see that dad bod. My dad bod is doing just fine. So far have not become chronically obese. No, some dudes, they have a child and then they let themselves go. No thanks. I think I'll do the opposite. We'll make sure that we're live over on Rumble really quickly here. Yes, we are. There are people watching as we speak. Some people leave the comment actually in the comment section as opposed to using Rumble Rants. I don't know. I don't have a clue. We'll be starting off with SCOTUS news, of course. That's a DOA attempt to expand the court. We'll do that in a minute here. And make sure that everything's lined up properly, because we got so much to cover. One of them is trying to paywall, even though it's an archive. I don't know what the fuck's going on with that one. That's the recession cope post, but you can still read it. It's just that it's grayed out somewhat. I don't know. Legacy media sites are getting smarter. They're trying to do everything they can to prevent archiving so that they can get more clickbait revenue in. I refuse to let them win. You can always run it through 2 archives. That takes care of the problem. JWT6577, you'd think a bartender would have seen enough people get arrested to be better at faking it. Yeah, yeah, AOC, that's definitely one of the top stories. The other day, briefly, it looked like we would have to cover the Hoover Dam. There was an explosion there, but it turned out just to be a transformer blew out, and so it looked more impressive than it actually was. And they put the fire out and probably have already replaced the transformer there. Joker 1 over on Rumble. Biden sees himself as the new FDR. I'm afraid all he will have in common with FDR at the end of his presidency is the manner in which he leaves office. Yeah, he tries to compare himself with Obama, too, which is laughable. He doesn't have a clue what he's doing. Neither did FDR for the most part. He was a bitter cripple who was screwing his cousin / I think former secretary, putting people in concentration camps based on their ethnicity. What a lovely guy. Mamet Mag sent $5. No comment. Thank you. Yeah, I can't wait for the midterms either, by the way. T-Bob8 over on Twitch. Crazy Loon, just watched your debate with Jack. Total NPC. Yes, that was a good one. Also debated Lore the other day. Lore Blue Eyes from Twitter. She is, I guess, a Swiss-born anti-gunner, pro-CRT. That was fun. Over on Break the Rules, by the way. You can go and check it out. Hopium Gardener. Hello, Sticks. Here in Australia, the motherfuckers in government are willingly allowing foot and mouth to possibly decimate our cattle industry. But COVID. I haven't seen anything about that. I'll need some news tips. DM me on Twitter, somebody, about that. Let's see. We'll go to the first news story here. Expanding the Supreme Court, weapon or tool. This is actually a native post on RCP. Recent polls show that Americans' confidence in the highest court is at an all-time low, Senator Ed Markey said at a Save Our Democracy press conference in front of the Capitol on Monday. His solution? Expand the court. Yes, they have put forth a bill in the House to try to expand the Supreme Court by 4 justices. It is DOA in the Senate. It has no chance of passing. In fact, it's unlikely to even pass through the House of Representatives. If it does, it'll be purely and strictly a partisan thing. The fact is that after, 150 years or something like that of having 9 justices, it's a real uphill battle to change that. They clearly don't have the votes in the Senate. You've got several Democratic senators who have already explained that they're not interested, and they won't get rid of the filibuster. So, the writing's on the wall. Basically, basically what this boils down to is a midterm pitch more than it is an actual serious attempt. They know that it won't work, but they can put it on the table, and then they can try to run on that. Well, if you just gave us more Democrats in the House and in the Senate, we could expand the court and we could undo all this evil damage from Bruin and Roe v. Wade, and it won't work. They're not going to get any. I mean, the Democrats clearly are not going to retain the House of Representatives. Nancy Pelosi will lose her job come 2022's midterms, and it will be very funny. Adam THM, Sticks, what are your thoughts on Maryland governor race? Yes, I will be weighing in on that, actually, with Dan Cox. Crazy Loon. Laura at least seemed more sincere than Jack. Yeah, she actually believed what she was saying. He is a grifter. I have no hesitance in saying that. He's doing it for clout. He's doing the Zoomer thing. I guess his form of content creation, though, relies on Twitter mostly, which is pretty pathetic. Imagine your main claim to fame. I've got a blue check mark on Twitter and get reasonable engagement. Maybe Elon Musk will put the kibosh to that. Imagine he has to pay for his blue check mark. That might change things. Horror to a chainsaw. Sticks. Many polling firms use proprietary characteristic match samples to measure attitudes outside the population of interest. Very elastic math. Yes, indeed. There are lies, damn lies, and statistics, and polling is definitely a form of the lattermost. Grant Glow. Sticks. Loving the live streams while I'm on my newspaper delivery route, also from California, and we're a lot more right-leaning than you think. Also, buy a paper. I don't support newspapers. Sorry. I guess yours is fine, though. So people should subscribe to your newspaper route. Yes, in parts of California, things are right-wing. The problem is that most of the population is not in those areas. So, yeah, they're trying to expand the court again. It's DOA in the Senate. It's clearly not going to happen. They're doing it for the midterms. They're not really attempting to expand the court. People that are getting worried, don't be. There's 0% chance that it actually happens. What they want is to rile up leftoids. Speaking of riling up leftoids, our second news story. Douglas Blair posted this the other day. You can watch it. Links in the description, by the way, cross-platform if you intend to look at these stories. Don't take my word for it on analysis. Analyze it for yourself. AOC has just been escorted by police away from the Supreme Court. Yes, indeed. AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and I think a total of 17 Democrats were protesting at the Supreme Court, mainly protesting Roe v. Wade. And so they had like a sit-in. They were blocking traffic, I guess. And they got detained briefly and pulled out of the street. You know, you're not allowed to just sit there just because you're an elected representative. Come off to the side. And then they talked to them briefly. They didn't cuff anyone. They didn't arrest anyone, although it'd be funny to see them spend the night in the drunk tank. AOC, actually, there was a moment. I analyzed it this morning. This was a New Tech exclusive. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, definitely follow me on some permutation of Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, or Minds, because you're getting an extra video every day if you do. What happened in this case was effectively a lie by structure, but it was three-dimensional. Mostly when I talk about lies by structure, I'm talking about a blog post or something that's posted on legacy media in which people with very, very limited attention spans, number one, and often limited time, number two, through no fault of their own. The latter is fine. When they read a news article, they read the title, they read the tagline, and they might read a few sentences in. So if you bury the reality down 3 or 4 paragraphs, and the first few sentences are technically misleading, they're countermanded by what you put later in the article, 99% of the people will imbibe that false truth. They will imbibe the first few sentences, they think they know everything about the subject, and what you've done is lie by structure. You're not technically lying, you are telling them the truth, but you're exhausting their attention span before you get to the truth. It's sort of the equivalent of legalese, you know, like a EULA or something like that. You have 20,000 fucking pages of lawyer speak, and then somewhere on page 7,000 is what you actually need to know. Hey, by signing this document that gives you this house, you also sell your soul and your firstborn child, and you promise to pay us $10 trillion over the next 2 years. Well, you've told them. If they read the whole thing and they paid attention, they would know they're selling their soul and their firstborn child and all of these other things in order to obtain the house. Does the average person actually read through it that thoroughly? No. Lawyers know this, legacy media knows this, and now photographers know this. What happened is that AOC, if you looked at her from the front, which is the picture that was proposed by the legacy media, it looked like she had been cuffed. Oh my God, AOC is so brave. She's willing to get herself arrested to support Roe v. Wade. That's not what really happened. But if you look at her just from the front, it certainly looks like that. She's got her hands behind her back as though she's got cuffs on her. Cops got her by the arm, is leading her away. She's being arrested, right? Well, she wasn't being. She was being detained. She was never cuffed. If you look at the other angles of this, and I don't know why they even bothered trying this, since there's 1,000 fucking people with their smartphones out anyway, looking at anything interesting that ever happens under the sun, including the sunset itself. Just imagine how weird and spooky that is. Oh, it's a full moon tonight. Yeah, I'm one of 1,000 people broadcasting live and looking at the moon right now. If you looked at it from the different angle, from a proper angle, you saw that she wasn't cuffed. Then she raised up the black power fist at some point, thus belying the fact that she wasn't indeed actually cuffed. She was being detained and dragged off to the side. She was not grabbed by the hair by the evil pig. She was not beaten up. She was not thrown in the van. She wasn't put in the hoosegow or any of these other things. But she was trying to present it as though that was real. And I can nearly guarantee that she and elements of the legacy media that tried to get out ahead of this, before the live streaming and stuff that big tech helpfully tries to throttle, when they put out that original image instantaneously upon her being detained, I guarantee that their goal was communally agreed upon. That is that AOC and her people talked to the legacy media outlets that took the pictures. She wasn't cuffed. She wasn't arrested. Nothing happened to her. She was just being a spoiled brat, the rich girl, as she is. And she wanted to grandstand. And she got her wish. She's being talked about. Problem is, in the internet era, most of it's negative. It's saying, hey, why are you holding your hands behind your back like you're in handcuffs or something like that? And then 5 seconds later, you're throwing up the Black Power salute. It was very funny. Mom at Mag. Part 1. Don't be so hard on Minnesota. If you stay out of Ramsey and Hennepin counties and Duluth, it's not a bad place. I'm sure that the lakes are rather nice. Very snowy and cold, though. Hell, I think it's technically colder in some parts of Minnesota than it is in Vermont. No, thank you. Josh, will public executions ever return to the USA? I prefer gladiatorial combat in tiered tournaments, live streamed to people for pay, of course. We can make so much money killing murderers and rapists and stuff, having them kill each other for sport. Cold Warrior, I never argue with the cops when I'm cuffed. They just keep tightening them. AOC equals fake ruse. Yeah, she's probably never been cuffed in her life. She doesn't know shit about shit. She's an actress. Mamet Mag, Part 2. Yes, it's a little chilly for half the year, but that's why there is snowmobile parking in almost all stores and restaurants. Yeah, when you need snowmobile parking, count me out. I've had enough of the Siberian weather. Vermont's bad enough. Grevin Share, having millions of low-info voters is worse than an authoritarian government and provides better results for the authoritarians. Yeah, I don't think that you're entirely wrong there. Mamet Mag, my favorite bar even had a hitching post, and it's only a 30-minute commute to the city. All of Minnesota is not Minneapolis and Omar, thank God. Yeah, but unfortunately, you still do have those people that are there. Sort of like Vermont. There are parts of Vermont like Rutland and the Northeast Kingdom that are rednecky and lean red. Northeast Kingdom is solid Republican. But that doesn't mean that the majority of the state is not controlled by hippies. Because they are. Why do people keep up bringing Tim Pool in every live stream, by the way? This is the Styx live stream. He does his own live streams. We have several. Joker 1 on Rumble. Congressman Hank Johnson wants to expand SCOTUS. He also thought Guam would flip over. Perhaps the 4 justices should be chosen from Western Guam to even buoyant Guam out. Yeah, no, there won't be an expansion of SCOTUS. It won't happen. Digifrenic, thanks for supporting Sleazy P. Martini's producer. Justin's fundraising goal has been reached. Clankers pulled through. Yes, it was not only reached, but slightly exceeded. So congrats to him. He will keep his home, pay his taxes off, and hopefully he and his child are all well. Furious TV, HR 4350 just passed. Did you see this BS? You will own nothing and are nothing. HR 4350, just a sec here. Yeah, what's that one? Oh yeah, that's the NDAA. Well, that always passes. That's a must-pass sort of grift anyway. Hey, let's spend a bunch of money on a military that's falling apart right now and not even in active use. Crazy Loon, pretend to be arrested so people forget you had a psychotic breakdown over getting trolled, but Pepperidge Farm will remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Yes, do you remember when AOC said that she felt like she was being raped all over again because she was in a building adjacent to where the January 6th protests were happening? That was very, very interesting. So yeah, AOC is doing make-believe like other small children do. Now we'll go to the general election polling, just to dispel the mythology that Trump can't win. Oh my, he's done. MAGA is done. By the way, they tried to astroturf that Dr. Oz, who had been endorsed by Trump, was actually claiming that. Please dig through that article. It was on my Twitter, and I responded to it. That's not what Mehmet Oz was saying. I don't even like the dude. I would never vote for him. But he was not saying that MAGA was dead. He was saying that some people believed it was, and they needed to reinvigorate it, and therefore was asking for your money. Just a fundraising ploy. They took it a different way. Now let's look at the recent polls. General election, Trump v. Biden. Of course, it could be that Trump's not nominee. It could be that Biden's not nominee. Hell, I give less than a 50% chance that Biden's even allowed to run again. But let's say that it is Trump versus Biden. Trafalgar, which is the most recent poll. Trump +5. To be clear, Biden was at like +2 in the last election. So regardless of what you think of the polls, that's a significant swing. The New York Times Siena poll showed Biden up by 3, reasonably close to the 2020 number. The problem being they have a fairly low sample size, and the Siena poll also had wonky results with regards to generic congressional and several other major races. I'm not so sure that we can really trust them. It's sort of like when polls only poll adults. These are all reasonable. Likely voters, registered voters, etc. If it only polls adults, and you'll see an A on the sample under the RCP header, ignore it. It doesn't matter whether it shows Trump ahead, whether it shows Biden ahead. I think all of these are proper polls, though, which is good. We get all too many on the congressional ballot and for Biden's approval that have an A after the sample. The Harris poll, that shows Trump +3. The Emerson poll, Trump +5. These are all post-Roe and Bruin, by the way. Those are the 4 meaningful polls. 3 of them show Trump ahead. That means that in all likelihood, and the spread being given is 2.5 for Trump. That would be a goddamn knockout. It would be a clean sweep. All of the swing states would go to Trump in a matchup like that, assuming that that was the final result. And that's not even considering differentials in turnout, which I think that there will be. I think that if Donald Trump runs, and especially if Biden happens to be his opponent, I think that Donald Trump not only wins, but he eclipses 2016's results. Partially, this is economic. If you look back even at historical polling on here, though, for the entire year, again, it's about 3-1 in favor of Trump. There's a couple of ties on there as well. Going back through, we had Trump +2 from Emerson. That was the last one. Now he's at +5, so that shows velocity in his direction. The last Harris poll had him +3. That's unchanged. Then we had another Emerson with him at +1. Politico had Biden at +1, but that's Politico, and we all know where they lean. Susquehanna showed Biden at +2. Well, that's pretty good. Insider advantage, Harris, Emerson. Wall Street Journal, Harris, Emerson, Trump plus. It's interesting because Susquehanna and Politico are the only ones that considerably show Biden ahead over and over again. There's like 3 or 4 of them on here. And all of the others, Trump is well ahead. Rasmussen showed him at Trump +13 back last November. I don't believe that there's any possibility that Trump could pull off that big a win, by the way. But +2, +3, yeah, it's definitely within the realm of possibility. So when people tell you Trump can't win, so don't vote for him in the primaries, it's a cope. Really what it is they're fucking terrified of the dude. I think that they're very afraid that Trump will win the primaries, go on to the general, and break the toys again. Spooky. Coworker thinks Trump will win in a rematch, but wants Biden to win in 2024. Apparently, he got a $700 check for working over the pandemic. Hope that $700 covers the multi-$1,000 average increase in his monthly spending. Yeah, it's interesting how small-minded some people are. That's like a lot of people thought that Trump had raised their taxes because they got less of a rebate at the end of the year because they don't pay taxes other than payroll. And they didn't realize that less was being taken out each month. So, of course, your rebate's going to be lower. Yeah, they saved money, but it wasn't as evident. This is also the same reason why Biden took the Trump child tax credit. You remember when Trump, I think it was 2017, he passed the doubling of the child tax credit. I think he should have even gone further. I think it should have been quadrupled or something. But he doubled it from $1,000 to $2,000. But that only kicks in at the end of the year when you file the taxes as a deduction. So it wasn't really that evident. What Biden has done is he has made it a check form for each month as a direct rebate as opposed to at the end of the year. Now, this means those people get that money, don't realize that it's not going to be written off at the end of the year as a deduction, that they'll pay more taxes. The situation has not changed, and the hope was that they would spend that money to stimulate the economy. Well, it worked. Supposedly, the economy being overheated is why you have the inflation. It has nothing to do with anything else. It was a way of attempting to rob Donald Trump of the credit for a program that he instituted. And it worked better under the Trump plan, of course, as a deduction. That's because people wouldn't immediately take the money and go out and buy the TV or TV dinners or something. Under Biden, a few $100s in a month, probably just a couple of TV dinners. I don't think you're saving up for that fucking flat screen if you need the extra money. Yeah, Bretling on Twitch. Wait, people didn't just buy drugs? I am sure that some of them did. Much more alcoholism now. I wonder why. You're out of work or partially out of work. You're told you can't go outside because, COVID exists and it's extremely deadly, extremely dangerous. What else are you going to do? Order liquor from, the Uber delivery, I suppose, or something like that. Get wasted on your couch, get fat and stupid. I see that Tim Pool is the entire subject of the chat on YouTube. I don't know exactly why that is. Anyway, next news story. Miss Frijoles attack, Royals Latino-heavy congressional race in Texas. This is one hell of a goddamn story. Democratic Representative Vicente Gonzalez is distancing himself from a blogger he paid who's using bigoted language to describe GOP opponent Representative Mayra Flores. You'll remember she is the first Mexican-born person to serve, I believe, in the House of Representatives. A Texas blogger paid by Democratic Representative Vicente Gonzalez campaign is attacking Republican opponent Representative Mayra Flores as Miss Frijoles. To be clear, that means basically Miss Bean. There is a slur that sounds roughly similar to this, just to be clear. And a cotton-picking liar. Yeah, that's not a racial insinuation, by the way. Watch a fucking Bugs Bunny sometime. Prompting a wave of denunciations by fellow Democrats. He has been ahead. To be clear, Mayra Flores has been the underdog in this particular race. He may have just fucked himself out of a House position. Good riddance, by the way. The language first surfaced 3 days after Gonzalez's campaign wrote a $1,200 check to the Michaela Report blog June 24th for advertising services, according to the Democrats' Federal Election Commission finance report. But the blog, which has called Flores Miss Frijoles 21 times since then, has not published any Gonzalez ads. Yeah, that's totally not what he paid for. He didn't pay for you to take a dump on Miss Flores. By the way, you're still going to have to run those ads on the blog containing this material because you were paid and you're under contract. Isn't that going to be funny? You imagine his bloated face right next to the blog article, and it's literally like her in a sombrero with photoshopped in like fucking bowls of refried beans. And maybe you can have Jill Biden there too, talking about breakfast tacos. This seems to be it's a rolling disaster for the Democrats. It seems to be a repeated theme over the last few weeks. Hey, this person is Hispanic, and that makes them very diverse. They're basically like beans or tacos or tamales or something like that. I can't imagine that the voters down in the Rio Grande Valley, where I did reside for a summer, and it was much hotter than here. It's 90 and full humidity right now, so it's a little oppressive, but it's okay. It's better than Tampa, better than Southern Texas. I can't imagine that the 95+% Hispanic voters down there are going to take too kindly to you calling her effectively Miss Bean. Again, I would use the other term that's very close to that. I'm probably not allowed to even utter it on YouTube, so I'll hold off for the moment. I can't imagine he doesn't get punished for this. And considering the fact that even though he's ahead, it's not by a huge margin, you probably just screwed your House chances. And Myra Flores, who won the special election, probably now becomes representative for a couple of years. It would be funny if she celebrated. She should totally meme the shit out of this, by the way. She should get a bunch of refried beans and shit like that, have a big-ass platter, take a picture of her in front of it smiling, preferably right next to Trump with a taco bowl from Trump Tower. Say, yeah, I love frijoles. What the fuck is wrong with you? You're the one that's inauthentic. You don't even like frijoles. You don't even like chili. You don't even eat corn cobs smeared with chili sauce on hot days. The hell, you've sold out. It'd be funny if she totally turned it around on him. And she is definitely a mimetic candidate. She's sort of like a Boebert or Marjorie Taylor Greene, which is why they get called bimbos and frijoles and shit like that. Michael Manker, Sticks, how different do you think the USA and the rest of the geopolitical world would be if in 1992 Ross Perot pulled off the upset? I love the scenario. Would have been good. He had some good tax policies in mind. My second nephew, amazing. I'm up at 4:30. Caught your live show before it was 20 minutes in. Pacific time, US. Jesus. Talk about a night owl. The Agal faces Timmy Pacina's. I have no clue what that refers to. Target Toad, diaper money from a fellow Tampanian. How would you rank Tampa Bay among the places you lived? Tampa Bay overall, there are some great things about it. Number one, seeing like bromeliads in their natural habitat, palm trees everywhere. I like that sort of aesthetic. But you got to realize I wasn't technically in Tampa. I was east of Tampa in a really, really low rent trailer park the entire time smoking weed. So I didn't get out much. I was too high. It was, there's some good things about it. Same with everywhere that I've been. I've never been anywhere that didn't have any good parts about it, other than maybe Springfield, Massachusetts. Stone Carter. Last night was Maryland's primary, and Trump endorsed Dan Cox beat out the moderate neocon for the gubernatorial race. Time to get to door knocking. Yes, indeed, we will be talking about that later. Michelle Shively sent $2 without a comment. Thank you. Yeah, so, that poor dude, he probably just fucked his campaign by using ethnic language against Myra Flores, who seems likable, even if you don't agree with her views. Next story. 1 year ago, Biden predicted inflation would be temporary. This will be a short segment here because there's not really that much to say. As of the other day, it was officially 1 year since Joe Biden said inflation, wouldn't be really a problem for that long. It's temporary. Yeah, it's not transitory anymore by that point. They'd retired that term, and it was no longer specifically just the fault of Russia. It would just be temporary. It's no big deal. I mean, not Russia, the fault of Trump. Of course, Russia hadn't invaded Ukraine at that time. So 1 year ago, Joe Biden said, don't worry about it, everyone. Just tighten your belt by another notch. Just make do with a little bit less right now. The guy that came before me really left me a mess. It'll take time to clean it up, but trust me, it's temporary. Well, a year later, Joe, inflation just hit over 9%. It's probably still rising, and we're probably in a recession, which we will talk about in the next news story. Whoops. Hopium Gardner. Trump should do a photo op standing next to Myra Flores, and in the background is a mountain of Goya beans. And the caption is, my favorite for Holy. Yes, that would be perfect. You remember the Goya dust up when Goya refused to go woke and said, we sell vegetables and shit. And they got shit canned for it. Yeah, that would be an excellent idea. Somebody who knows Myra Flores, Trump, or someone even 10 steps from them on their staff, get them to do that. It would be the ultimate meme. That's an excellent idea. Hustle in Russian. Myra Flores has turned out to be a total rhino and disappointment. She's literally been promoting amnesty and voted for it in Congress. I believe, fact check, that is not actually the case. I will look into it, but I'm pretty sure that's some shenanigans. And of course, if you're comparing her to Vicente there, well, what other choice would you have exactly? Furious TV. Trump is the moonchild of Aleister Crowley. This is why you are made desperate for his return by the extreme pendulum swing. You know what the moonchild ritual sticks? I don't know what the fuck you're referring to. Trump does not have anything to do with the occult. Unfortunately, he'd make even wiser decisions if he did, perhaps. He's a liberal Christian like most of these people. He occasionally trots Jesus out to get people to vote for him, but thankfully, he's not wasting his time reading the Bible. He's reading reports on what's actually happening. His entire job there is civic in nature, not religious. Cold Warrior, when are Brandon and co. going to refer to American citizens as chalupas just because their name ends in EZ or ES? It's all about food with these guys. Come on, man. Yeah, I have noticed there's an awful lot of that. The Gal faces, Timmy Pacinas means Civil War guy in Spanish. I didn't know Timmy meant guy in Spanish. Have I been doing a disservice to little Timmy this entire time? So yeah, that story, Biden 1 year ago, as of yesterday, thought inflation would just be temporary. Don't worry about it too much. It'll go away soon. And a year later, of course, it's much higher. BJ Gamer over on Rumble. On August 2nd, there are 3 primary races to look at. Mississippi 3, Washington 3, and Washington 4. These are the seats that are currently held by Trump impeachers. They'll probably all lose. Joker 1, Sticks, how can you keep 2 gardens on 2 continents at the same time? Also, how do you keep those indoor plants behind you so green? Do they spend time outside? I occasionally put these guys outside, give them a really good soaking. I can't do it right now because it's too hot. As far as gardening on 2 continents, all you have to do is schedule the back and forth trips that you take, a few months at a time here and there, in order to make sure that everything's set up. A garden will take care of itself, at least in part, with relatively minimal maintenance, especially when I'm going to be doing a lot of perennial and herb gardening. So that's not as intensive as growing a bunch of fruits and vegetables and shit. In the future, I'm going to have a big-ass vegetable garden. This subsequent year, I think I'll focus mainly perennial, herb, and some shrubbery and shit like that. We'll see what happens. Next story, is the U.S. in recession? Jeffrey Frankel begging the question here. Do not be surprised if, later this month, there is a wave of headlines claiming that the U.S. economy is in recession. But such an assessment would depend on a chain of reasoning that has 3 important flaws, and he goes through to list them. The definition of U.S. inflation, specifically, has to do with quarterly growth. That's the only metric. And he, by the way, correctly points this out, but then says, but wait, there are other ways that we can define a recession, right? Yeah, we can look at these other metrics. Well, you don't need to. People conceive of a recession as 2 straight quarters of negative growth. That's it. There is no, is the U.S. in recession? Of course it is right now. The Fed forecast makes that clear. This is why you have this fucking Cope article in the first place. Yes, the United States is in recession. It's been in a recession for months now, and people need to know that that's the fact so that they can plan accordingly by throttling back their spending, number 1, by safeguarding themselves in their efficiency, number 2, and by blaming Brandon in the midterms, number 3, and shit-canning the Democrats. It is their responsibility. It's the responsibility of a combination of lockdownerism, severe authoritarian hyperregulation, a shitty attempt at tax policy, and the fact that there's no consumer or business confidence because nobody is confident in Brandon being able to lead. That's it. Black and white. There is no further explanation needed. This effectively what this is an attempt to muddy the waters. Well, yeah, we could be in a recession. You know, you say that silent part out loud. But, you know, if we change a few words around, a few definitions, oh, maybe we're not in a recession. Maybe we're just close to a recession. Maybe we're kind of sort of doing okay. Yeah, tell that to the people in the 70s. Dude, actual inflation numbers, if you were to use the metrics from the mid-70s, would already be worse than they were at any time under Jimmy Carter. They're already worse. Core inflation be damned. That's a cope as well. We've been using the false metric for now decades and decades. There have been times that we've approached Jimmy Carter levels. Now we have supplanted them. Our inflation rate in the United States is officially worse than it was in the 1970s. If you look at the actual pragmatic effect on the dollar, if you look at the actual pragmatic fallout from prices. If you only focus on core inflation, it looks a little bit better, but it's still approaching 10%. How is that good? Yeah, it's only at 9 point whatever percent. That's okay. That's acceptable. Yeah, tell that to all of the middle classers that are losing their savings. They're pissing them away and taking out credit lines. By the way, its own terrible bubble. Then we've got the next news story here. This is a funny one. Well, actually, I think we have a couple of super chats here first. Let me get to those. David Ford sent $1.99. No comment, thank you. Blue Bat, Tim didn't read my super chat last night, so I hope you at least enjoy this free Google money I collected. Oh, thank you. I will take it. He must not have gotten it. I think he gets quite a few super chats usually. The Grizzly, hopefully we don't, but we might be going into a Great Depression to Eat the Bugs Boogaloo. I'm still hopeful we can avoid a depression, but my hope may be misplaced. Just to be clear. What is this here? All right. Now we've got this story, the 6th, I think. Nikki Haley hints at a 2024 White House bid. Sometimes it takes a woman. We'll read through this briefly. Again, links in the description if you want to follow along. Former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, on Monday alluded to a possible 2024 presidential run, giving another sign she could be a Republican contender for the White House. Haley, who was speaking at a summit hosted by Christians United for Israel, took aim at President Biden's hopes for his administration to return to the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, which the U.S. withdrew from in 2018. Anything Joe Biden signs will all but guarantee that Iran gets the bomb, the former South Carolina governor said. No deal is better than a bad deal, and if this president signs any sort of deal, I'll make you a promise. The next president will shred it on her first day in office. Yeah, she probably has designs to run. The problem is that her support level is 3 or 4%. She will clearly not be able to supplant Trump. Of course, it's possible he doesn't run. Then it's a free-for-all. It'd be her versus Pence. Maybe DeSantis gets in. We don't know what the fuck is going on. Some of the polls even list Cornyn, which is about the shittiest idea ever. Anyway, I think it's possible she runs. I wouldn't conceive of her as particularly viable. Didn't she have a sex scandal or something, or was that just Democratic Party nonsense? Didn't they claim she was like, dicking 4 guys at once or some crazy shit like that? I mean, they say that about Republican female politicians constantly and never get called out for it anyway. So I don't know that it's true, but I think it was in there. Yeah, Christians United for Israel. All of a sudden, she starts talking about the Iran deal. I wonder if there's an impetus for this. Bobby Walter, Salty Purebloods, Bastages, just dropping some re for ya. IFID. Hey, Sticks, you should get Razorfist a guest on the midterm coverage. Yes, he's definitely going to be invited. People talking about DeSantis, people talking about Nikki Haley, people talking about everyone. Yeah, basically, Crazy Loon has a point. And this was one of my feelings. Isn't it interesting that her effective, hey, I might kind of sort of run, keep an eye on me and give me attention shtick? Don't you think that it's a little bit obtuse that it starts off with, hey, I happen to be female. Hey, I got boobs and a vagina. That's why you should vote for me in the primaries. That's sort of like, that's the sort of thing that the Democrats typically do. Kamala definitely did this. Klobuchar definitely did this. Well, I'm a strong, empowered woman. I look like the mom from Coraline. But I have boobs, and they worked back in the past. Have to use 2 bras now, but they're there. I've got mammary glands. They used to be active. Fucking vote for me. Maybe you'll see me in a swimsuit. Fucking vote for me. For my presidential picture. That's basically what it boils down to. Imagine if some dude was like, yeah, sometimes it takes a person with a cock to do it'd be the same thing. It'd be less politically correct, but it would be the same logic. Anyway, I think if Trump runs, if he chooses to run, a lot of these people won't bother to get in. Those that do will probably lose. Trump gets over 50% in any possible combination of matchups. It doesn't matter if it's a crowded or a narrow field. You've got polls for both. Pence is not a challenge. DeSantis is basically the only one that would stand any chance. The problem is everyone else would have to sit it out and endorse him. He'd have to have the whole fucking rest of the GOP behind him in order to have any shot at all. And that's assuming that the states actually hold primaries. Some of them won't hold primaries. That would be a problem too for DeSantis. As far as Nikki Haley, she's beyond a tertiary candidate. She's back in, I'll fact check this my fucking self. Because I know she is listed on some polls. Let's look at this. Latest polls. We have to go back a little bit here. Republican presidential nomination. So number one is Trump. He's averaging 53, which alone would give him the nomination. DeSantis is about 20. Pence is at 7.5. Fucking Nikki Haley can't even beat Mike Pence. She's at 4% in these polls. She's about tied with Ted Cruz, to be clear. He supplants her in the Siena poll, which, again, has wonky results. Trump's at plus 32. Well, I mean, the writing is on the fucking goddamn wall, dude. The only person who potentially poses any threat at all, and this is when you don't even account for undecided voters, minor candidates, independent candidates, and shit like that, is Ron DeSantis. He hasn't given any signal, by the way, yet that he even intends to run. It's not clear that he ever intends to run. Look, it might not even be a strategic thing where he's like, well, I've got this guaranteed gubernatorial position. I'll wait until 2028 when there's no incumbent running, and then I'll get in. We don't even know that he'll do that. If you knew that you could maintain the gubernatorial slot basically ad nauseum for decades to come because you're popular, you did a good job, things are going well, why would you cede that? Why would you pull a Beto O'Rourke like he did with his House seat and cede it to try to seek a more powerful seat that you have no guarantee of getting? It's sort of like, is Ron DeSantis a psychopath, basically, is the question. Joe Nerfherder, Alexandria Bubbles Ocasio-Cortez can't pass up a photo op. Yeah, she's got that problem. Joseph LaRosa, who do you predict Trump will pick as VP? Assuming that he runs and assuming he wins, which is likely. I think the top of the list is now Kristi Noem. I think that her actions in the first three starting states belie the fact that she's actually on the short list for VP. I think that's her strategy. I would say Rand Paul is on the list. Ted Cruz, unfortunately, on the list. Well, it would be hilarious if he was crazy enough to pick Mike Pence again. I think he's probably not on the list. I think Kristi Noem's number one. So, yeah, Nikki Haley might try to run. Or crawl, rather. That'd be her campaign, would be crawling behind fucking Mike Pence, of all people. Next story, DA Alvin Bragg to drop murder charge against Bodega worker Jose Alba. Yes, Jose Alba, who stabbed a man in self-defense after being viciously attacked by him and his girlfriend over a fucking bag of chips. He will not be prosecuted for murder, which is good, albeit belated. He should never have been charged in the first place. And you know the only reason that they did is because the person that he defended himself against was of a certain skin color. That's really the only reason. Bragg happens to be of the same group. They did that to try to prevent riots, and now they're quietly dropping the murder charge. It's a sad state of affairs when a person has to be in fear of their very liberty. I mean, he's an older dude, so it'd be for the rest of his fucking natural-born life because of a potential murder charge that was only made because the cops are weak, the prosecutor's a douchebag and a coward, and really they were afraid of people burning Wendy's down. That's really what this boils down to. When the prosecutorial system is afraid to do the right thing, we have a real big fucking problem. It's not a problem in small town America. It's not a problem in rural America. It's not a problem in many suburban zones. Definitely a problem in New York City. Anywhere where a bodega actually exists in the first place, you're going to have problematic law enforcement and prosecutorial discretion anyway. You should move out of the inner cities if you're capable of doing so. Go live on the land. You'll be happier anyway. Joker won on Rumble. Lots of politicians run for president so they can get picked for Veep, raise their profiles in the Senate, etc. Yeah, Beto has tried to do this 3 times. Not just presidency, senator, and now he's running against Greg Abbott in what is the most suicidal possible fucking race ever. He's 7+ points behind Abbott. He's not going to make it. Mr. Obvious, YouTube removed my documentary-style video about 4chan hacking Hunter Biden's iPhone. 100,000+ views. I hate this platform and everything it stands for. I will dedicate my life to destroying big tech. Get on new tech, my dude. Use all of these sites. They are lucrative and helpful. Michael Torres, help me bully Tony Evers and JB Pritzker on Twitter. I don't bully people on Twitter. I find that oftentimes people think they're being bullied just when you point out how they're wrong in a very, very dry and logical manner. William Brockman sent 99 cents. No comment. Thank you. Sorry, the trees are fucking today, or maybe it's just the dry Saharan air or something. I'm a little bit hoarse. Joseph LaRosa, any chance he picks Don Jr. as VP? That would be crazy. It would also be nepotistic and a terrible idea and lead to him losing, so no chance. Rob S., great job on the debate yesterday. Thank you. Hunter Wadley, Trump's clearly the best choice is Chip Roy, in my opinion. I think that Kristi Noem is the best choice, pragmatically. I think Rand Paul's the best ideological choice, of course. So yeah, the Jose Alba will not face murder charges. After what, a fucking week or something, they finally decide to stop terrorizing the old dude and let him go back to selling shit. He'll probably end up with his bodega burned to the ground by an angry mob claiming that he's racist or something, but at least he's free at the time that he gets immolated by the pink-haired freaks. And then the final news story of the day. Trump-backed Dan Cox wins Maryland GOP primary for governor. Dan Cox, a far-right, notice they always drop that in there, state legislator endorsed by former President Donald Trump won the Republican primary for Maryland governor on Tuesday, defeating a moderate rival backed by outgoing Governor Larry Hogan. Despite being a win for Trump, Cox's victory over former Hogan cabinet member Kelly Scholes could be a blow to Republican chances to hold the seat in November. Here's my thoughts, and I say this as a non-Republican. I get some shit about the Mehmet Oz thing too because of this. As a non-Republican, if you have the opportunity to potentially win with a genuinely populistic candidate who has the support of a populistic movement, is it not better to take that chance and potentially lose than to have a much higher chance of winning, but the candidate's a fucking neocon sellout? Why do you care about having the neocon sellout win? Let the Democrats win, ram themselves in the ass and into the ground, make a fool of themselves. Go ahead, give them the seat. Same is true in Pennsylvania. Mehmet Oz is not going to do a good job if he gets elected there. So let the Democrats hold it. Let Bernie Sanders 2.0 fester in the hearts of Pennsylvania and drive the state further red. It's simple strategy. No, I wouldn't be supporting, as a non-Republican, I'm not going to support some neocon. That's like saying that it's like if people said to me, well, yeah, we know Jeb Bush isn't perfect, but he's running against the Democrats in this House district. You need to just support Jeb Bush. No, fuck that. That's how you lose. That's how you get a bunch of weaklings, pathetic weaklings within the party that corrode the party and make it, as a general rule, weak. The Democrats have this problem too. That's why the leftoids, they're not coalescing behind the neoliberals. It's causing huge problems to the party. It's not a problem for the Republicans because the MAGA types keep winning 9-1. They've taken over the party. Why would you want to compromise and say, okay, yeah, I guess I'll buckle down and support Jeb Bush. Also, I'll support Kelly Scholes so that she can literally do nothing for several years. Hunter Wadley, if he really wants to go full MAGA. Battle Elf, a little bit AOC horse. Lisa MC sent $50, but no comment. Thank you anyway for the diaper fund. I'm always willing to take diaper money. Scotty S., best scenario, Trump wins 2024 by a landslide, followed by DeSantis in 2028. I disagree. I think Rand Paul 2028. 12 years of a moderate White House administration would be nice. I want Rand Paul instead of DeSantis. DeSantis needs more time to convince me that he would actually be a good idea. Rand Paul has already done so. Zen Toaster. Hey, Sticks, baby fun. Thanks for preventing me from being indoctrinated in high school. Been watching for about a decade. That's some long-term fucking clanking. Excellent. Good on you. Do not get indoctrinated by the neocons and the neolibs. Battle Elf, please clap. Yes, the Jeb Bush meme. I fondly remember that. That was so great. That and the time that he had, like, what was it, a little plastic turtle that he carried around in his pocket. And he thought it'd be, I guess, personable if he revealed that fact to people as some sort of great secret. Then there was the one where he was wearing the hoodie, and he looked like Beto O'Rourke does now, going through the midlife crisis, I suppose. Somehow Jeb pulled it off better than Beto has. By the way, there are almost 4,500 people watching live at the moment. We're at that same happy level. I can't even wait for the fucking midterms. And it won't just be the midterms. You know that things will be lit for like at least the first month before that. So it's going to be a good time had by all. Emperor Soft Turtle. Speaking of turtles, my mother is a Dem hack. She told me in 2020 not to worry about paying my student debt because Biden would forgive it. I laughed in her face and kept up with the payments almost free. Love you, Mom. Yeah. A lot of people put a lot of faith in him suddenly going to the left. Did I or did I not warn these people that that wouldn't actually happen? It's a fucking neoliberal. He's too busy funding the military so we can kill more people. Joseph La Rosa, can I buy the original stick spoon clank mug? Those are no longer available, but you might be able to find one somewhere. 500-600 of them total sold, so they are out there. I don't know what price they would be at. Mine, unfortunately, the logo came off. Apparently, I didn't realize this, they're not fully dishwasher safe. Probably should have had a dishwasher unsafe stamp on the bottom, but I guess the designer didn't think of that. Whoops. Ketowin, please clank. Battle Elf, I like turtles. I like them too. I've never tried turtle. I wonder what it tastes like. Some people eat turtle soup and shit. I'd be willing to. Yes, I know what you're saying. Oh, turtles are cute. You're not supposed to eat them. Okay, you eat plenty of cute animals. Baby cows are adorable. They're also very tasty. Buffaloes are cute. You know, they do weird things with their eyes, and they're all shaggy and shit, and they have the woofy tail. The buffaloes are delicious. I wonder what turtle tastes like. I'm imagining it has sort of a swampy, like maybe a froggish flavor or something. Hunter Wadley, Sticks, more cooking videos. I want to see what you deem delicious regardless of what it looks like. I love food better, love it now when we still can. Yeah, should probably do it. Record food and then sell the recordings to all the people that don't have food when Bidenomics really kicks in. Stephen Felt says that turtle tastes like chicken. It'd be funny if that were true and not just a meme. Stephen A, $4.99, no comment. Thank you very much. Hillary Clinton's flies are trying to swarm me here. They're trying to memetically damage me. They shall fail. Stephen Kuhn, the way DeSantis treated Disney by pulling their special district has me worried DeSantis would be a moralistic authoritarian as president. I support pulling their district. Why should they have special treatment over other for-profit corporations? That's not a problem. I like what DeSantis also has done with education. That's not authoritarian. If anything, Disney should be fucked in the ass. They've gotten away with too many corporate shenanigans for too long. It's not authoritarian to tell them to get back in their line. What I do have a problem with DeSantis is it seems he's being astroturfed. It genuinely seems like the legacy media is trying to get him in there just into the primaries to damage Trump, who they speculate will finally be the nominee, solely for the purpose of getting bad blood going and convincing a minority of the Republicans to never back Trump because he badmouthed DeSantis, as he naturally will if anyone primaries him. Anyone running against Trump in the primaries is going to get shit heaped on him daily. They know this. It potentially is a weakness for Trump in this primary season if that happens. The Happy Plague Doctor, there are seven different types of meat in a snapper. Yeah, I'll try them all. Hunter Wadley, turtle is delicious. Salt A, to be honest, gators are better. Both taste like chicken. I have had alligator jerky, and it was pretty good. Cajun alligator jerky from Buffalo Bombs. Rob S, any plans on a book about Machiavellianism? Not at this particular time. I'm still doing some more editing work at the moment. Leo C sent $4.99 without a comment. Thank you. And please, no more super chats because I'll wrap it up a little bit early today. I think it's a little bit on the hot and oppressive side still. Again, the temperature's lower, but the humidity's higher. I don't even want to be in a shirt right now. Sebastian Monroe, check your Twitter DM. Would you eat spoon fries? I don't know what you're referring to. I'll check this out and see what you're talking about. Let me see. Do you have a picture of it or something? Fries are just a way to get ketchup to my mouth. I'm really hoping these take off. And they appear to be French fries in a spoon shape. Yeah, I'd try those. Those look good. Doesn't have to even be ketchup. You could do any dip with those. It's not a bad idea, actually. Where can I invest in this idea for a spoon fry factory? Just as long as they're Cajun seasoned or something. You should have crinkle cut spoons as well. Crinkle cut fries are better than regular fries. The best is still steak fries or the curly fries. I season them myself too because they're never seasoned enough. I pour Cajun seasoning like paprika and chili powder and shit on them, a little extra salt, and then I roast them. I am right. I can't believe you lost the debate to Laura Blue Eyes. She owned you with facts and common sense. It was a fun debate. Still up, by the way, on Break the Rules. They've hit 10,000 subscribers, by the way, as of yesterday. So Congrats to Break the Rules broadcast. I don't know what comes with hitting 10K anymore. It doesn't give you partnerships at 100K. Can't remember what happens at 10K, but I know it's significant. Fictitious Dave Savage, you won the debate. She was out of her depth. I happen to believe that I won the debate, as I'm sure she believes she won as well. The purpose of a debate is not to convince the other person or yourself. It's to convince the bystander. There aren't many undecided bystanders when you're talking about internet debates, though, because people gravitate towards subjects they're interested in. When they're interested in a subject, it's typically not to learn. It's to try to enforce their preconceived views. So you're pro or anti-gun. You showed up for the debate because it's partially about guns or CRT or something. And 99% of the people had already made up their minds pretty harsh before they watched the debate. But we didn't really change anyone's mind. It was just an interesting discourse. Shark Dentures, Shirtless Sticks might get more ladies super chats. Well, Shirtless Sticks is married, so I don't really care about that. I like super chat money. People can pay to see me in a shirt, too. They're still seeing me. I prefer that you focus on what I'm saying. The eyes are up here, dude. I'll go full AOC. My mouth is up here, and it ain't being used for what you're thinking of. Ha, ha, ha. Cryohazard69. You are slicker than Jack Murphy's poop shoot. Respect to you. Oh, God. The fact that I know that reference is a terrible thing, by the way. Tupelo Honey, screw eating bugs. I'm a southern girl that has been gardening, canning, hunting, and fishing all my life. Friends with livestock, so fertilizer. As someone who has tried bugs, they're not all bad. It's become a total meme. You don't need bug burgers. If you want a burger that's not like red meat or something, the only natural alternative is fucking portobello mushroom or lentils. I hate to do the lentils meme, but if they're seasoned properly, they're pretty good. But it's not a burger. It's not meat. If you're cut up about factory farming, red meat and stuff, okay, have a chicken burger. Chicken burgers are good. Not good for you, but they're tasty. Long as you use enough ketchup. And I like the cheap-ass ones that you just microwave or you cook them in a pan until they're kind of browned. That's what I'm talking about, with cheap-ass buns and cheap-ass ketchup. Like the kind that you get in fucking elementary school for lunch. I remember those. It's pretty yummy. Anyway, I think that I'll go offline. We're running up on an hour, and I've got other things that I must do, including cook later. I might even shower a second time today. It's the humidity's got me worse than the actual heat. The heat's fine, but it's quite humid. And I just got a garden hose, so I can just spray myself off and say, fuck it. I'll just strip naked and start showering off in the garden, and probably nobody would even care. I think that is a clothing optional nation anyway. That's about all. Peace out.